Welcome to our weekly reading where we explore all things astrological. We hope you're doing really well and staying safe out there. From our two different points of view in two different locations in the world, we bring to you a unique astrological perspective on what is happening right now across the globe. So here we go. Hi everybody. This is Diana in LA and Cary in the UK, and we're here to talk about this crazy week that's upcoming, following the last crazy week that we just went through. I called last week the week of doom and gloom, and this week is another one. It is tough, and it's a full moon. So there's a lot of heat on this week of more change, of more change, of more change. And I wrote down as a note to myself, between a rock and a hard place, because there's a lot of forward energy and there's more energy that says no. And so we are having this desire to move forward into our lives again, and everything is blocking that possibility in our personal lives, in our world views, and in our politics, and in every subject is no, no, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. And so where do we even begin to talk about this week? And so this Monday on the full moon in Aquarius, solar sign Leo, the subject of right use of power and right leadership in our lives and in the world is up for all of us. And with the Aquarius full moon energy, it is creative. And it is a time to re-look at those structures. Are they working? Do they need to change? If they change, how do we do that in a way that's connected to humanity and not for a single individual's benefit, right? How do we all grow? That's what Aquarius always asks, the all of us. How do we grow together? That's an opportunity this week to work with those energies and to also look at your own life where you use power and your own use of power to keep it aligned to the highest good in conversations with each other and in our decisions in the world. How do we choose well? How do we choose up? How do we choose high? How do we move towards the greatest good for all concerned? These are the questions that are up right now. And so, Cary, give us some words of wisdom.
I think this is absolutely huge for the United States. What happens in November is going to change everything. So you've got this thing on Sunday where you've got the Sun square Uranus, and then you've got the Moon conjunct Saturn opposed Mercury. And that's the day before the full moon. And the full moon, you've also got Mercury opposed Saturn by 1 degree orb. So this is a very challenging week. In fact, it's more challenging than last week, and it's going to be very tough until October, because we're going to go through waves between now. Astrologically, nothing's changed. You've got that stellium there, it's retrograding. It's having a worse effect now than it did when it first made its appearance. With this Mercury opposition, as an example, the government in the UK said, yes, you can all go to Spain on holiday. So everyone went to Spain on holiday. Well, lots of people went to Spain on holiday. And about a week into their holidays, they were told by the government that, unfortunately, due to the COVID increase in Spain, when they come back to the UK, everyone's going to have to isolate for 14 days. So this is what is going on. It's mixed messages.
Yeah, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
We've been telling everybody on these broadcasts that it's not going to change till October. It's not going to change till October. You know, this is going to be going for the next 2 months. You know, one way or the other, everything is changing. There's mixed messages. You know, if you look at the Mars square Jupiter on Monday and the Mercury opposed Saturn on the full moon, that describes what's going on.
That's what we're talking about, is that there's this Jupiter wants to go forward, Mars wants to move, Jupiter wants to move a lot. And so Mars is squaring Jupiter, though. So to me, that is a pushing forward and drawing back simultaneously, which is what's happening. That Mars and Jupiter together, even though it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not a great thing. It keeps adding on to this increasing pressure of Mars wanting to hurry up and move forward and get better and move on and fix the economy and go back to work. And Jupiter is blowing everything up more and more. So to me, it feels like expansion, right, Jupiter, of everybody wanting to go forward at a time when there's a lot of blocks to it because of the stellium.
And as time goes on, over the next couple of weeks, eventually Mars will be squaring that stellium. And that is going to be huge. So we have got, it's a roller coaster between now and October. And then what's interesting, we talked last week about the 27 degrees Capricorn. What I forgot to mention last week was Saturn at 27 degrees Capricorn is on America's Pluto at 27 degrees Capricorn. So when the next election takes place in November, it's probably the most important general election in memory in the United States, for the United States, because all those planets go direct in October, followed by the general election in the United States, which is massive. And that will not be going as smoothly as people think it will.
And it's on my birthday.
And it's on your birthday. You know, it's funny. You have the your elections in America on your birthday, and normally in the UK we have elections on my birthday.
Well, of course.
Because you're 11 degrees Scorpio and I'm 11 degrees Taurus.
The thing you were saying about Pluto degree in the United States chart is a really important point, and that Saturn is sitting on the United States Pluto degree. That is also having a Pluto return in the next 2 years. And so this is probably going to be, like you just said, one of the most significant elections that we've ever had, and changing because it's Pluto, which means it's going to kind of deconstruct, self-implode possibly, be completely different, to be resurrected into a whole new form. And nobody knows what that form is, because it is, when Pluto does a full circle, it is a renewal. How will that renewal play out?
We won't know that until the winter solstice. When Saturn finally leaves Capricorn for the last time and goes into Aquarius, by that time we will know the results of the election and the enormity of what has just happened, and the enormity of what COVID has done to the whole world. It does cause me concern when I listen to what the politicians, both sides of the Atlantic, are saying, and what the scientists are saying, and there's no marry-up. There's this balance between business and life. So what is that? You know, everyone's going to be collateral damage.
Even in countries that were so forward-thinking, as Australia has been, and extra cautious and locked down within the country itself, they've had the highest incidence of COVID cases this week of all time. And that's them having pretty much shut the whole COVID spread down, they thought. And so they did everything right. So what does that mean, though? Now that even the places and people that have done all the different protocols to keep people in and not traveling, still it's coming back for a second wave. And isn't that so interesting? And that's why this October thing is so important. We're just not done yet. This is continuing. We're in the middle of it. It's not over even at all. There's going to be more repercussions from COVID and the ramifications of COVID in the economy and our politics, etc. We don't even know here if we're going to have an election on November 3rd. That is up for conversation right now.
And it's there in that stellium. That's what that means, the changing of platforms, the changing of society, the changing of foundations as we know it. And I know that we laughed last week and we were talking about doom and gloom. It's very serious at the moment, and it's the same worldwide. Everywhere, in Brussels, there was a massive increase. In India, it's been the biggest increase since COVID started. So, we're not in a second wave, we're still in the first wave. And that's what all the planets tell me. And then on Wednesday, Mercury then goes into Leo.
Yes, with another roar. So here we are in solar Leo, and Mercury coming into Leo too, so people are going to be speaking out.
You see, the thing is, at the moment, you've got Mercury opposing the stellium. You've got, near the end of the week, you've got Mars beginning to oppose the stellium. You know, everything's about the structure of the world at this moment astrologically. And there's no getting away from it. This is not the kind of week you can say it's going to be fantastic, because actually the aspects that are happening at the moment, the transits that are happening at the moment are incredibly strong. And yes, there's a few little rays of light, like the moon's trining Venus on Tuesday, and the moon conjunct Neptune on Thursday. They'll brighten up the days, but it won't take away the confusion and the testing of our society at this moment with this planetary aspect that's going on.
Right.
More confusion. Look, you've got to make light of it, but these are very serious times. And if you look at the planets and you look where they've been since January and where they are now, we're in a very important time, well, for humanity and society at this moment. And that's what those planets represent. But more so, the most important country that's being affected by this on many different levels is the United States of America, due to the fact all this planetary activity around the Pluto of the United States at 27 degrees.
And the choices that get made in these next months are going to change the world, essentially starting from the US as it ripples out and affects everybody, and the economies and politics across the world. We need to be very mindful about the choices that we are making right now, because this is not like normal. This election won't be normal. What is happening and the consequences that come from this election are not going to look like any other election before. It is all going and is changing. And so, how do we apply this to our own lives? How do we apply this and work with these energies that are pulling it all up to look at, right? To kind of dig it out from the underneath the rocks. We're looking. In our own lives, there will be areas that are matching this energy. It might be in our relationships, it might be in our personal sense of self, it might be in our finances, it might be in our careers, and all the subjects of life. But wherever it is, and that stellium falls in your horoscope, shows you sort of where the action is. This stellium being by transiting planets being touched by Mercury now, and this full moon right now, all of these energies are creating change in our personal lives and in our outer lives too. So how can we work creatively with these energies? How do we move with them in a graceful way where in the end the highest good is achieved rather than the lowest common denominator? And really this is the choice that we are at as a humanity. We get to choose this way or that way. And it really is like that. Do we go up? Do we raise the vibration of our planet, or do we lower it? And I really feel like to remind everyone to pay attention, to not be afraid of this energy, because the potential of it is life-changing, world-changing, but not to get tumbled by it to the degree that you feel helpless to what's going on. You're not helpless. We're not helpless. Your voice matters. Our voice matters. The world is changing. Let's change it for the better. On that note, Take good care of yourself during the week. Take care of yourself, your own mental state, your emotional state. Manage yourself well, stay conscious, stay aware, and everything's going to be okay. But we are going through change, and change is uncomfortable.
Well, the change I'm going to make this week is I'm not going to let myself get worried by anything I read in the papers. I'm going to listen to myself and to my inner voice and make decisions based on that. That's the only way you can when the planets are like that.
So the thing I'm going to be practicing this week is meditation. I'm going to stay centered and not get thrown by all the news that's going to be occurring, and keep my center all week long. So Cary, what can you suggest to everybody to do about taking care of themselves better this week?
Don't react to anything that you read in the newspapers or online. Be true to yourself, make your own minds up. Be very careful what you do out there, because we're going through huge change. And just, as you said, stay centered. If you stay centered, you can't go wrong.
Part of the reason we're even doing this is because of these times. Part of the reason that we decided to come forward now as two astrologers in the world is to start to address these very intense aspects that have been predicted for thousands of years, and they're happening now.
This is probably the most important time astrologically the world has gone through in lifetimes.
So with Mars squaring this stellium coming up near the end of the week, Saturday or so, again, more intensification, more bad news, more push-pull action, more yes-no, more wanting to move forward and having to stop. This energy is just everywhere we turn right now. So stay centered. This is really important at this time in the world, and we wish you a centered, balanced, conscious week to manage these energies as the week flows on. So we'll see you next week with another broadcast from Diana in LA and Cary in the UK to talk about the stars.
Stay safe, everyone.